and welcome to Oulton Park and a brand new season championship. We are building up to the first race of the season, and for many of the drivers on the grid, their first race in the single-seater championship, their first ever race stepping out of karting. It's fantastic to have your company. My name is Chris McCarthy. I'm going to be stepping in for Jonas for the first couple of rounds. McGlade is going to be up in the commentary box as ever this season, and he's going to be joined by Piers, who I'm going to bring in now. He's going to be alongside me for the weekend. Naomi Newman's going to be speaking to the drivers. She is going to be helping us throughout the season as well. Piers back for another season. We begin here on Easter weekend at Oulton Park. Lovely conditions here for us as well.
Perfect conditions for the first race of the season. GB4 is back. Another strong grid. It's going to be a change from last year, almost completely new grid. We'll touch on that in a moment, but I'm looking forward to the racing. GB4 cars really suit the Oulton Park circuit, and yeah, looking forward to getting going.
14 drivers from 6 countries, 2 returning to the championship. Let's first get you up to speed with the championship itself. Here is our format explainer.
GB4 Championship, partnered by the BRDC, is run by MSV's racing arm, MSVR. The 2024 season will feature drivers as young as 15 driving the Tartar's F4 T014 car. Each race weekend consists of 1 qualifying session and 3 18-minute races, the third race being a reverse grid race with the pole sitter being pushed towards the back of the pack. There are 21 races across the season, and the calendar starts at Oulton Park on Easter weekend, with visits to Silverstone Grand Prix at the end of April, Donington Park Grand Prix in May, Snetterton in June, Silverstone Grand Prix again in the end of July, Donington Park in September, and then the final showdown at Brands Hatch at the end of September. There are no required pit stops in GB4, but each car is only allowed a maximum of 6 tyres per race weekend, the equivalent of 1.5 sets, meaning tyre management is critical. There are multiple prizes on offer in GB4. £50,000 will be awarded to the 2024 champion towards their 2025 single-seater campaign, as well as the George Russell Pole Position Cup, which awards each driver who claims a pole position with £125. The driver with the most poles at the end of the season receives a trophy and an extra £1,000, with a further £1,000 going to the team of the driver with the most poles from the 2024 campaign. Should the top female driver in GB4 this year secure a seat in F1 Academy next season, MSV will contribute €30,000 of her budget for that campaign.
Thanks to Lewis there, bringing us up to speed with the GB4 Championship. I think one of the great things about GB4 Championship, the calendar, absolutely fantastic. We get to go to some great circuits starting here with Oulton Park. We get to go to the Silverstone GP circuit. Lots of track time for the drivers as well, and lots of great prizes, Piers, as well. Yeah,
some great prizes on offer, and actually one that's really interesting is for the female drivers. It's the highest placed female driver that finishes the season this year is going to get a €30,000 contribution to a potential seat in Formula 1 Academy should they make that step up, which is very possible going forward. So yeah, that's a good incentive for the likes of Alicia Palowski, of course Megan Bruce and Chloe Grant returning to the championship, having been in the F1 Academy previously.
Let's talk a little bit more about that. You know, great to have 3 young female drivers taking part in the championship this year. F1 Academy, of course, similar cars, F4 cars racing on the F1 package, travelling round, you know, with them racing on those Grand Prix weekends. That is going to be a championship they have their eye on, and a huge contribution that to the championship as well, €30,000. So really great offer, really great incentive for them to be part of this championship. For young drivers, you know, you were once racing yourself at a similar level. That's going to be a fantastic incentive for them.
Oh, I mean, it's no secret that motorsport is expensive. It's also an expensive sport to get going, and a lot of the drivers require funding to make that next step, and the fact that the championship is offering that to the female drivers is amazing, and yeah, it's a real incentive for the likes of all 3 of them, but still, they've got to earn it because it's only the highest placed driver.
You can hear the atmosphere really is building here at Oulton Park, and with that, let's go and hear from someone who has raced at F1 Academy and is now back here to try and get her hands on that prize. It is, of course, Chloe Grant. Chloe Grant, welcome back to the GB4 Championship. Great to have you back with us now, of course, with some more experience in single seaters. Just tell us a little bit about where you've been since you left us in 2022. I know it's been quite the journey for you.
Yeah, so in 2023 I made the move into F1 Academy with ART Grand Prix. It was definitely one from one extreme to another, and it was a massive learning experience for me. It was just incredible, to be honest, to have that opportunity and obviously drive for a team like ART. I've learned everything that I currently know about single seaters. I learned from ART. They've just been fantastic. I was really sad to have to leave them, but I kind of needed to come back to GB4 as I've never really had 2 years consecutive in a championship or in the same car, for example. So I needed to have a second year in GB4 like was planned in 2023. So F1 Academy did come a year too early for me. I was a bit unprepared for it. So maybe if I got the second year a bit into last year, then I would be ready for F1 Academy this season. However, it just turned out otherwise. So this is my time to get that second year under my wing, and then I'll see where I move up from there on.
And I know with that experience came a weekend racing at a Grand Prix as well. I mean, tell us, and I imagine the things learned from that and the experience of that must have been absolutely fantastic as well, which you can now apply to this.
It truly was incredible. I mean, I never expected to be racing in Europe, let alone going over to America, being alongside F1 at Texas. It was just unbelievable. So yeah, it was an incredible experience, like the whole of F1 Academy and racing for ART was. And yeah, it was just, even like the weather, getting used to that, it was very hot, and I can't complain because I'm in a single seater compared to, like, you know, GT drivers get it a lot hotter, but it was really hot in Austin. I had to put my cold vest in the freezer. So yeah, just trying to adapt to different conditions, obviously different track surfaces all throughout different countries. Yeah, it was amazing.
Let's focus on GB4 then. You mentioned this is now second season for you, the one that you feel that you can really push forward. How's it been getting used to the car, used to this championship car again, and being back in the paddock again?
Yeah, so it's nothing like I remember, if I'm being honest with you. Obviously, I've been driving the Gen 2 car for quite a while now, and even I've been testing it throughout the start of the season. So I've only done 4 days in a car this season, and yesterday was my first day back in the GB4. So it's not even like I've been testing GB4 to lead up to this. Every other team's been doing like 10 days more than that. They're very prepared. So again, I kind of went, let's just go for it, see what we can do. So yeah, we've come, and I was quite frustrated yesterday, and I've barely driven a single seater in the wet, surprisingly. So yesterday was very interesting for me to learn, and I know exactly what I would do differently if it rained again. So which I think we might have a bit of that on Monday possibly. Today I was quite frustrated in first session, as I think I was like 2.9 seconds off, which for me is really bad. However, we made a big step up in the last session. I think we're 1.4 off now, which is still huge, and I need to find that 1.4 quality, because at the end of the day I'm here to do the best I can. I want that pole position. I don't want to just be running around at the back. So I've made huge improvements through every single session, every time I've gone out. So hopefully if I can do the same in quality, then we have a chance of a really good result.
So, I mean, there may be an element of you having to play catch-up because of all that time that you've lost. But looking ahead to the season, I'm sure the goal is to, once you've got that time under your belt, to push forward and get those wins and podiums.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for. I want the wins, I want the podiums. That's the target of this season. And like you say, I've not had a lot of time in this car already, and it feels completely different to what I remember it, and it was so long ago now. So yeah, it's about getting used to the car again. Like, I'm feeling a lot more settled into it now. Like I said, I just need to make that big jump every time I get in the car, like I have been already doing.
And let's talk atmosphere. We talked a little bit about it there with the Grand Prix. We've got another big atmosphere expected this weekend, bank holiday weekend, with British GT. I'm sure all of that stuff's going to feel a lot more natural to yourself. Do you think that's going to help a little bit going forwards for the season, having had the experience you've had now? You can almost put that all to one side.
Yeah, definitely, and obviously I know a lot more people in this paddock, lots of familiar faces, so it's really nice. Everyone's been very supportive, and when I've been struggling and quite frustrated with myself, I have the correct support to tell me to chill out, and it's just because I'm not used to the car, and I've had the correct coaching. So yeah, it's been really good, and I've enjoyed my first weekend back currently, but obviously there's a long way to go still.
It's great to catch up with you, Chloe, and best of luck for the season.
Thank you.
Good to hear from Chloe Grant there. That was during practice day. She's qualified in P9 for this first race. Of course, coming back to the championship here, you watched her during what was her first season of single-seater racing. I mean, what did you make of her during that season and how she's developed going off to do F1 Academy last season?
Yeah, of course, Chloe Grant joined us in 2022. I was just doing the maths there, for the full season with GBR. Of course, now taking a year away from GB4, doing the F1 Academy. Unfortunately, couldn't get back on that, just a number of reasons, so she was hoping to get there, but back with GB4, we're glad to have her, and she's moved to KMR Sport, and yeah, 9th in qualifying. I think she'll be slightly disappointed with that, because she's, as you mentioned, she's progressed as a driver a lot more. I've spoken to her a few times since she was last in GB4 paddock, and she feels like she's moving on as a driver, developing, and I expect her to be definitely inside the top 10 consistently, and hoping for top 5s and podiums at least by the midpoint of the year at the very latest.
It was really tested throughout F1 Academy last season. Suffered a big incident at Monza, so did really well to come back from that, not just physically but mentally as well. When you go through something like that, it does take quite a lot to come back from, doesn't it?
Well, I'm lucky I didn't have that many massive shunts, so but it was a big crash that Chloe had in Monza last year. A lot of damage. I think she's fine now, thankfully, but it's one of the things as a racing driver you need to get on with. You need to learn how to come back from setbacks. Dealing with setbacks is one thing that you need to be resilient with, and she's clearly done that. She's pushing on. Again, being resilient is another thing. When she didn't quite get the seat she wanted for this year, maybe in F1 Academy, but she's back here fighting, pushing on as hard as ever, and she'll be, yeah, I'm sure she'll be fighting throughout the series this season.
Someone certainly fighting very, very hard is one of the other female drivers with her eyes on that prize. That is someone new to the championship, but already right at the front, Alicia Palowski. She has qualified on the front row. Here's what she had to say during practice day. Alicia Palowski, welcome to the GB4 Championship. Great to have you with us. Tell us how you are finding single-seater so far. Of course, you coming up from Ginetta Juniors. How are you enjoying jumping in to GB4 so far?
Yeah, I'm absolutely loving driving the GB4 car, the single-seater. As you mentioned, I've spent the last 2 years in Ginetta Juniors, so very, very different ball game that we're in now, making the transition up to single-seaters. It's around 30 seconds plus a lap quicker, so quite a huge step up. But while it's 10 times quicker, it's also got 10 times more grip, being on slick tyres rather than road tyres that the Ginetta Juniors are on. So absolutely loving having that extra grip, and I've managed to get to grips with it quite quickly. Just really enjoying it. Still learning all the time. It's early days for me, but absolutely loving it and learning all the time.
Coming off the back of a really good season as well, and a season you really made for yourself, having won the scholarship as well. I mean, you must be taking a lot of confidence off what you've made for yourself the last 2 seasons.
Absolutely. Well, what I've learned in Ginetta Juniors, especially since joining Elite Motorsport last year, has just been huge. I'm a completely different driver now to who started this season this time last year, so I've progressed in every aspect of driving. Consistency, that's a huge one of my strong points. Overall lap time, just braking technique, everything really. So I'm glad that everything I've learnt in the Ginetta Juniors, such as the car control, obviously being a really loose car with those road tyres, it's translated directly into the single-seater, everything I've learnt with the car control. So it's equipped me fantastically, and I've been able to get straight up to speed relatively quickly because of my experience. So yeah, it's going well.
It's a track you'll be familiar with, but let's talk about the differences now that you've had to learn so far this weekend, getting up to speed in GB4. How is it driving a GB4 car around this Oulton Park circuit? Such a fast sweeping circuit, very undulating as well. For the viewers at home, how is it driving around here in the GB4?
Stupidly fast. It shouldn't be allowed. It's crazy compared to what I'm used to. You sat so close to the ground in these GB4 cars. It's pretty much like a go-kart. Your bum's nearly on the floor, so that really exaggerates how quick it does feel, but the amount of downforce it's got and the aerodynamics around the corners, it's just so quickly. I mean, we're lapping sort of the same speed as the British GT guys, but all our time is found in the corners, not on the straights. So it's really the cornering speeds that make the single-seater stand out. So that took me quite a while to get my head around and to get to grips with, but I just, to be honest, going through each corner, just close my eyes, hope for the best, and just see where we are. So it's going quite well so far, so we'll just keep with that.
Any corners in particular that you enjoy the most around here? I mean, I know we've got the last section is very particularly quick. Are there any ones that you enjoy the most going around?
I actually like the two chicanes actually. The first chicane after the shell hairpin. I'm showing now that I don't know the corner names. And Knickerbrook, the second chicane. It's really start-stop and it's really got to manhandle the car. But I really enjoy that because I like being on my brakes. My brake shape's quite good. I'd say that's one of my strengths. So getting the car stopped as late as possible, but keeping the rear stable through those corners. It's really where I'm finding a lot of lap time. So and it's just great fun. So yeah, I'd say that the whole lap really, but those two chicanes, that's where I think my strengths are around the circuit.
And looking at the calendar, I guess this is one of the more punishing circuits as well, isn't it? How is it as a driver having that challenge, knowing that one small mistake and your race could be over straight away?
Absolutely. Well, as you mentioned, there's no margin for error around here. The walls are coming up you so quickly. So it's really just having that confidence just to go that quickly, but not overstep the mark, as there is no margin. So it is daunting. I'll be totally honest, and I think anybody who said it isn't daunting would be lying to you. But no, I think it's just about finding that limit and just staying there and not overstepping that mark, keeping concentrated and not letting that focus lose you, and then you'll be okay. So yeah.
You're finding it very good so far. Alicia, we're at the end of 2 days practice and so far so good it seems. Tell us a little bit about how it's gone from your side of things.
Yeah, well, it's been a great day today. Obviously the test day ahead of tomorrow's qualifying. We've topped both sessions today, so feeling really good in the car. We've found a great setup. I'm comfortable. Brake bias is perfect. Just every little thing just seems to be coming together this weekend. So I don't want to speak too soon, obviously, because we've got qualifying tomorrow and race one. And I'm still very much new to this. You know, I'm competing against some drivers that have quite a lot of experience in single seaters now. So it really is a learning weekend for me. If I can come away from the weekend having learned something, then it's been successful. So obviously I want the results. I want to be fighting for wins and fighting for podiums, but I just need to keep my head down and keep learning, and that'll be a success.
Thank you for speaking to us. Best of luck this weekend.
Thank you so much.
Good to hear from Alicia there, straight on the front row of the grid. Someone you would recognise if you're a fan of the Ginetta Juniors. She's done very well to adapt there from racing in something like Ginetta Juniors, where you're on the road tyres, to here in GB4 and single seaters. Yeah,
big change for Alicia, and any drivers that come from Ginetta Juniors to GB4, which is not the first time it's been done. Spoke to Alicia at the pre-season media day and test day, and she was saying getting used to switching the slick tyres on, getting the temperature up, and then also the feeling of a car with downforce is something that she's having to get used to, but she's clearly doing it quite well, but putting it second on the grid, not far behind our pole sitter, who's again another new driver. So yeah, Alicia's doing a really good job considering her lack of experience in these single-seater cars.
Let's go and meet then another new driver to the championship, one of the drivers that's come over from Canada down at Graham Brunton Racing. Let's go and hear from Callum Baxter. Callum Baxter for Graham Brunton Racing, GB4, welcome to the championship. Great to have you with us. How does it feel to be here at Oulton Park for the first round in the GB4 Championship?
It's awesome. You know, I'm really excited. I've been following the GB4 Championship since it was created a couple of years ago, and I've always loved watching it. So now I'm really excited to be able to race in this championship.
Similar to your teammate as well, you've made the journey over from the other side of the pond to be here. Tell us a little bit about what you were racing before, because it was single seaters, but slightly different to what we have here in GB4.
Yeah, I was racing the Formula 1600 Championship over in Canada for the past year, and you know it went pretty well over there. I was runner-up in one series, and I won the other series I competed in. So got some good experience from that I can take over into this championship.
So coming in with good confidence as well, good results behind you, I imagine you now want to apply that confidence here and use that to get a good start in this championship, I bet.
Absolutely, yeah. You know, it's a very competitive grid this year, very good teams and very good drivers, but I'm really happy with Graham Brunton Racing so far, and I'm looking forward to being as competitive as possible and always trying to improve.
You mentioned there as well that you've been following GB4. What was it in particular that you liked the most that made you want to come over here into the UK and be a part of this championship?
I'd say just the level of racing that there's always been this series, as well as the tracks. I've always, loved the British tracks, so I'm really looking forward to going to all of them.
Let's focus on the track we're at this weekend, Oulton Park. Very technical, I'd say, very fast sweeping corners. What are you enjoying about Oulton Park the most? What do you find most challenging about the circuit?
I just love how how tight it is, and like you said, how technical you have to be. And I really feel like it fits my driving style pretty well. A couple places you got to be pretty aggressive, a couple places you got to be smooth. So I really enjoy it.
For the viewers watching at home, which corners do you think could catch the drivers out the most this weekend? Are there any corners in particular where we could see a lot of overtaking, for example, or a lot of where we could see some incidents?
Well, you know, it's a pretty tight track, so really everywhere it's kind of a very difficult overtaking opportunity. So I think the main thing is it's important to capitalize on other drivers' mistakes if they make any, and that's going to be how you got to make your way up. Yeah.
I think very well put there. And looking ahead to the season as well, are there any other tracks that you're really looking forward to getting your eye on? You mentioned that you've followed the championship throughout. We're returning to a lot of F1 tracks, past and present. Are there any other tracks you're really excited to visit?
I mean, all of them look great, but I have to say Silverstone. Just watching it since I was a little kid in F1, and you know, it looks pretty cool.
We don't have to wait very long for that. We'll end talking about your practice. We've had mixed conditions so far as we speak now at the end of 2 days of practice. Are you happy with how things have gone so far?
Yeah, I think, you know, every session, you know, I've been learning lots and really just trying to improve, and you know, it just ended the day, I think, P5, so obviously ideally I'd be a little further up, but you know, I was only less than 3/10 off, so that just shows how competitive the grid is this year.
Callum Baxter, it's fantastic to have you in the championship. Thank you for being with us. Best of luck for this weekend and for the season ahead.
Thank you so much.
Good to hear from Callum Baxter, P5 for this first race. A really solid start to his GB4 campaign. Great to hear that he, along with his teammate Maïa Deonarine, both joined this championship because of the coverage of the championship. They love the racing so much and how close the racing was that they decided, you know what, we've both got to be a part of this.
That's awesome to think that they're here because of this. Is amazing. And who knows, you know, some of you young racers at home, if you're watching, you could be racing with us next year or even this year. So, you know, it shows that clearly people at home are enjoying the stream, but also it's great that we can showcase the championship and that people are liking it enough that it brings new drivers.
We're expecting more of the same, I'm sure, right? More very close racing.
GB4 was almost never anything other than close racing. Yes, there's slicks and wings, but the downforce is not huge, so the aero wash isn't massive, and means that you can get nice close racing, especially on circuits when we go to places like Silverstone Grand Prix. But the cars are still pretty small, and we can get some good racing here at Oulton Park as well.
Let's go back to Lewis McGlade and see the car Callum Baxter is going to be in this season and the track he's going to be taking on.
The car the drivers will be taking to in the GB4 Championship of 2024 is the classic F4 T014 car by Tartus. An absolute stalwart of young junior Formula Motorsport, and of course it's powered by that 1.4 litre 160 brake horsepower engine, all the power going to the rear wheels. Brembo brakes all the way around to get the car stopped in these tight and twisty tracks. Of course, the gearbox being 6-speed, still controlled by the steering wheel with paddles on the rear end of that. And of course, the adjustable rear wing. A lot they'll need to do with that. Just the two profiles they need to work with to get the rest of the car in order. The tyres for the season, still the same Pirellis, and of course they get 6 tyres across the season. That's 1.5 sets for each race weekend. 570 kilos, the car is extremely light, and it definitely dances around all of these circuits. You'll need to get the car right in order by using the twin wishbone suspension to get it right on the mark, and of course the adjustable front wing to put as much aero as you feel comfortable with to take on the race circuits. Let's take a look at the first circuit we're racing at in 2024, of course, the Oulton Park International Circuit. Plenty of good overtaking opportunities around here if you are brave. The Old Hall corner, that first turn, then the drop down the hill into Cascades. Island Bend and Shells, a little bit too narrow for my liking, completely flat through Island Bend, but you can make something stick into the Shells hairpin. You've got the Britain chicane, then the Hislop chicane, up Clay Hill for after Knickerbrook, then into Druids corner, one of the best in British motorsport. Flick it through that 2 apex right-hander, and then into Lodge corner. The drop down the hill and then back up through Deerleap onto the start-finish straight. It is tricky to make moves around here, but it is possible. Not for the faint of heart. You've got to be brave if you want to make it stick around the 17 turns. 2.7 miles all the way around. And one of the major features around here is not just the 22 metres of elevation, but of course how narrow this circuit is as well. Very, very tricky. Arguably one of the hardest circuits we'll deal with all season.
Thanks to Lewis there for the car explainer and also the track guide as well to Oulton Park. Really tough circuit they have to take on. But Piers, we're down here now in the assembly area, ready to go for the first race of the season. And this, the moment, you know as a former driver yourself, at GB3 level, how nervous it is for these drivers getting ready to go.
Yeah, it's tension's building, everyone's in the car, sat down, they're in the zone, thinking about their starts, thinking about getting the race season underway in the right way, and it's a high pressure moment. It's the start of the season. Everyone wants to start on the front foot, regardless of whether you've had a good qualifying or not. So yeah, it's going to be a time that the drivers can make or break potentially their confidence, I suppose, because if you have a bad start season, it can trickle on.
Well, let's go and have a look at some cars, shall we? Let's take a wander down. I think all the drivers pretty much in their seats, ready to go. We'll take a wander down, shall we? We'll have a wander down to pole position, and then we can get your thoughts on who is starting where. So we've got Brandon McCaughan on pole position. Very interesting one. We'll take a wander down to pole position, shall we? Let's have a little wander down. Follow me. Here we go. Kevin Mills, racing driver, on pole position. Let's sneak over this side. There we go. We'll see if we can grab a word with, well, we've spoken to Brandon. Let's get your thoughts on Brandon, because he is our GB4 shootout winner. Tell us a little bit more about that. That's really exciting to see that he was chosen as the shootout winner, and he's used that to get on pole position.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept that the MSV have put together, of
Just,
course.
move you forward.
Yeah, the MSV Championship have basically do a shootout each year, invite a few drivers down, and then the winner gets a contribution towards starting the GB4 Championship, and it's clearly working because Brandon McCaughan, who's an Irish driver, has come over here, won the shootout, and here he is on the grid in pole position. So he's clearly doing a great job, and it potentially wouldn't be here without that. And he's hoping that that he can use the results in the first couple of rounds of the season to continue the year, because I think for now he's only confirmed for the first few rounds.
Well, we can see there is Brandon ready to go on pole position. We caught up with him earlier, so let's hear what he had to say when we spoke to him after qualifying.
Brandon, first competitive session in the car, pole position. That must feel pretty amazing.
Oh, over the moon. Like, I've two dry sessions around Oulton Park in this car. On the third, put it on pole. Can't beat that. I'm very happy with it. Big thanks to the team. Car felt amazing. Thanks to my sponsors for getting me here. Yeah, very happy.
You must be happy in the car. There's no way you jump in like that and then put it on pole position if it's not feeling good underneath you.
Oh yeah, exactly. Obviously, with Tom driving last year and Kevin running forward so much of his career, they really knew how to suit it to my driving style. I'm sure I have a very different driving style coming from Formula Ford, so they were able to set the car to my liking. And yeah, went out and got the job done.
What is your liking? Do you like it loose? Do you like a bit understeer?
Loose on entry, definitely. Rotate the car on the power in a way.
Clearly it's working well for you, but let's look ahead to the races now. We're going to have a clear run to turn one.
Yep.
Race start is going to be important. Have you had a chance to practice much?
I've had one practice start, so as long as I don't stall, we'll be alright. But yeah, just try to get a good start, have a clean race, hopefully win. Need some results to try, keep going for the rest of the year.
Great start to the year. Brandon, congratulations. We'll see you on the start of the grid.
Good man, thank you.
Good to hear from our pole sitter there, as we mentioned, our GB4 shootout winner. Let's talk about the drivers that are going to be on the second row then. We've got one of our two returning drivers and our only returning driver from last season, Harry McGlade Jr. And then we've got some drivers that we did see signs of last year as well. We've got Finn Harrison starting on the second row as well. What are your thoughts on the drivers starting on the second row there? We've got drivers starting on the second row. Maybe that will be the only drivers that might have that experience of some tyre wear as well.
Yeah, exactly. So, of course, Harry McGaughan Jr. was with us last season, all the season in there with GBR, Graham Brunton Racing, moving over to KMR Sport this season. Probably on paper the favourite for the championship, and he started out the year very strong with a third position in qualifying. He's moved teams, as I mentioned, and he's clearly feeling quite confident, and he's improved his driving. His karting record is about as good as it gets, especially in the UK, so we know he can drive fast. He's just turning that into driving in a car, which is a different kettle of fish, because you have to have the same skills but applied in a slightly different way. And then it's good to see some drivers who sampled the championship last year coming back. Finn Harrison, I think, joined us for one or two rounds last year, as well as Dan Hickey as well, who's driving for Fortec slightly further down the grid today, and he joined us at Donington last year and has come back for some more. So once they get a taste, they want to come and do the full championship, and it's great to see them back. And I reckon that the the elite pairing of Alicia Palowski and Finn Harrison together is going to be very strong this season, as has already been demonstrated by second and fourth in qualifying.
Let's have a walk more of the grid. Have a walk more of the grid. You can see the drivers here getting ready to go. Tell us how this feeling is, Piers, as we look at the cars. Tell us how this feeling is when you're sat in the car ready to go. Final words coming in from engineers.
Yeah, it's the final opportunity that you can get to have some words of wisdom or even just some encouragement. It depends on the driver. If you get a driver that gets nervous, this is about where the nerves peak, I'd say, because as soon as the green light goes, it kind of fades away and you just get on with the job at hand. But some drivers, they don't really get too nervous. I never really struggle with nerves too much, and I know some other drivers don't really either. And it's, but you can feel the tension. You know that this is the moment that means a lot. So yeah, it's interesting to see. And also, I'm interested to see how Linus Granfus gets on in the Fortec car there. Of course, we saw Joel, his older brother, a couple of years ago in GB3, and now Linus is his younger brother in for GB4. So if he's anywhere near as fast as his brother, he's going to be up at the front end of the championship.
Absolutely fantastic. We can see all the cars around us ready to go now. I think it's probably your time, Piers, to go off. Final thoughts for the race?
It's going to be a good one. If McCaughan can get away at the start, then I think he's going to take it. But Palowski's going to push him hard.
We'll let you get off for now, Piers. We can see Piers is going to head off to go and get off to commentary. We will see if we can grab a word with anyone else, but there are all the drivers pretty much ready to go. 14 of them are on the grid currently. We will have a look round the order. Great to see them all lined up, ready to go. And it's going to be a superb race, I'm sure. Brandon McCaughan on pole position, Alicia Palowski second, Harry McGlade Jr., the returning driver, there, third place, fourth place, Finn Harrison, fifth place, Callum Baxter. Come around, have a look. The Canadian driver over here, Linus Granfus, sixth place, Brandon Templeton starting in seventh place. Then behind that, we've got Leon Wilson in eighth place, Chloe Grant in ninth place. Then we've got Jack Taylor next, Megan Bruce, Maïa Deonarine, Marcus Luzio, Dan Hickey. We spoke to Jonathan Palmer before GB3. It'd be great to speak to Jonathan Palmer again before GB4 as well. There we can see. Well, Jonathan, we'll just get out of the way of some cars, but it would be great to have a chat with you as well. We spoke to you before the GB3 Championship earlier as well. GB4, I mean, this is where we welcome new drivers into the world of single-seater racing, into the world of cars in general. How pleased are you with the turnout we have this season?
I think it's a great grid. We've got, is it about 14 cars or something? GB4 we established to provide the most cost-effective championship for anybody wanting to start single-seaters, graduating out of karts, out of Janetta Juniors, or wherever they want to come to. You can drive here when you're 15. And because we work so hard to keep the cost down, the budget for doing GB4 it's about half the price of British F4 for the same performance of car. It's between 150 probably and 200,000 compared to 350, 400 for British F4, which is a great championship. But a lot of people that just can't find that sort of money and don't want to miss out on the opportunity of starting a single-seater career and hopefully making a success out of it and graduating on to it could be British F4, GB3 probably more likely, and then of course on to FIA F3 and F2 and hopefully F1. So a lot of these people here are looking to see if they can, a great place to learn, affordable, up to the start of a serious single-seater career.
And we talked about in our build-up show one of the new things we've got to the championship this year is the possible prize to F1 Academy, €30,000 that could be donated to the top female driver to maybe go on and race in the championship. Tell us a little bit more about that. We've got three exciting young females racing in the championship this year, one of them starting on the front row despite the fact it's her first race in a single-seater car. Tell us a little bit more about that. It's a very exciting possible opportunity for them.
Well, it really is, and it's great to see more and more girls coming into motor racing, and it's the way it should be. There is some great talent out there. We in GB4, I should say, have had quite a few girls over the years. This is our third year at GB4. But with the advent now of F1 Academy, which is really F1 as an institution wanting to see girls come forward and giving them again a cost-effective opportunity, it made total sense that we linked it through. The sort of budgets for F1 Academy, it's potentially from €100,000. So I thought, well, let's do about a third of the budget, €30,000 for the leading female of GB4. But I should say too that the prize for winning the championship is £50,000 towards a GB3 drive. And so if it was going to be a female, then they got 50 plus the 30,000. I mean, what's that going to be? 75,000. So, you know, it's a big chunk. But Alicia, you're absolutely right. I mean, she's come from Ginetta Juniors, and she's adapted to single seaters incredibly well. It's very exciting, and she's a great girl. And you know, well, let's see how it all goes.
You mentioned a very good point there. That's a possible great opportunity to put forward over half the budget, and not even that, to get a great budget to go and race on something like GB3 next year. £50,000, you can put forward a huge amount. So this is a very good building ground, not just to learn single-seater racing, but to really push you forward financially in single-seater racing.
Yeah, I think the fact is Britain now has the strongest single-seater career ladder that it's had for a long time. In my day when I started, there were loads of Formula 4 championships, there was British F3, and then it went through a period a bit of a doldrums. But now, through a combination of MSV, Motorsport UK, very much behind single-seater racing, we've got to the point where the UK is a great place to start and develop single-seater careers.
Well, thank you very much, Jonathan, for speaking to us. It's great to get your thoughts on it, and thank you on behalf of those young female drivers and all the drivers for being so generous with the prizes. Once again, 50,000 up for grabs for the winner, and 30,000 possible going forward to the champion, or to the top female to drive in F1 Academy as well. Thank you very much on behalf of all those drivers. Enjoy the first GB4 race and the season as well. We are on a bit of a delay, by the way. I know Piers ran off to the commentary box in expectance of the race getting started. That's because the session that is just out before us, we've got a car up in the gravel that is currently being retrieved. I can just see the recovery vehicle is on its way round to retrieve that car. So whilst that is being done, we did have another interview that we did with the other Graham Brunton racing driver yesterday, which we haven't currently shown you. So we're going to give that to you now. Maïa Deonarine, we did mention him earlier, myself and Piers. He is also with us this season, another Canadian driver who enjoyed the coverage so much that he's decided he wants to be a part of this championship. He's currently out there on the grid, so we're going to go and hear from him now whilst we're building up and waiting for the track to be cleared. Maïa Deonarine, welcome to the GB4 Championship. Great to have you as part of the series. First of all, how are you finding it being in the paddock so far?
The paddock atmosphere is amazing. It's incredible to see the difference from North America to Europe, and it's definitely a surprise when I came over here to see how focused everybody is on motorsports and winning the weekend. It's amazing to see, and I'm very excited to be here.
Give us a little bit of background to yourself. Of course, we didn't get the chance to meet you properly at Media Day, as we mentioned there. This your first proper time really in the car, and first time really in any car. Just tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I started off with karting. I did karting for about 4 years. I did a lot of series like SCUSA, USBKS, WSK. They're all very great series, and I decided to throw myself in radicals. I did pretty well in that. 2 weeks ago I actually raced in it, and now we're here in Formula 4, GB4. It was a short 7 months from go-karting to this, and I think it'll be an amazing year. What
was the decision that brought you to GB4? Was it the championship itself, how competitive it is, or was it the look of the car, or a combination of all three?
Definitely what brought me over here was the series. I actually didn't even know what GB4 was till the beginning of the month, and I looked at it, I watched all of the races from last year, and I said, wow, this is an amazing series. It's very competitive, and I looked at my dad and said, you want to do this? And I said, well, we don't have the budget for that. But I said, you can we get sponsors? He said, yep, let's go get sponsors. So we went out and did that, and now we're here. So
let's talk about that journey, because we're going to some amazing circuits this year throughout the season. How much are you looking forward to going to those circuits? Let's talk about this one first of all. A little bit different, I'm sure, to the circuits you have over in North America. Tell us a little bit about how you're finding this circuit, Oulton Park, so far.
this is a very tricky circuit. I actually just got on track yesterday for the first time, so I struggled a little bit. I still am struggling a little bit, but I think we'll be pretty good for come race time. And I've never seen any corner on this track at any other tracks I've been to, so it's a challenge. It's a big one. But the rest of the tracks we're going to are, I think I'll find them a little bit easier than this one. Especially like Silverstone. It's a fairly forgiving track. There's lots of runoff compared to here where there's a wall in 20 meters off the track. But we'll be going to Donington, Schneiderton, and Brands Hatch, what I'm definitely looking forward to.
Tracks where Formula One have raced round, past and present, of course, so fantastic circuits all the way throughout. I have to ask you, how was it leaving the pit lane for the first time this weekend in that GB4 car? Having gone through the journey you have to get that sponsorship, it must have been very rewarding to do those first laps.
Yeah, it was I tried to take it in the first couple laps, but definitely they're powerful cars. Not a lot of downforce, but it's there. It works. I just soaked it in the first couple laps, and then I started pushing it, going faster and faster, and it's amazing. It's an amazing car.
Now, of course, all the talking stops, as they say. I guess is your goal to now go and get some results in. I imagine you're not here to make up the numbers. I'm sure you want to go and get some good results. Is that the plan now?
Yeah, well, I'm always here to look pretty, but we're always looking to do the best we can throughout the races.
Well, it's great to have you as part of the championship. Thank you for being with us in GB4. Best of luck throughout the season.
Thank you very much.
Great to hear from Maïa. We're welcome back to the assembly area. I'm here with Sarah Moore. Sarah, thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us. You're here working with Alicia this weekend. I know you're switching a little bit more to coaching. You were telling us about that this season, but last season you became the first female driver to win over in India. You were racing in the Indian Racing League. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, it was a last-minute call-up at the end of last year. Obviously, I did no racing at all last year, so it was nice to actually put the helmet back on after the end of the W Series, and to win the first race that I did in the car was pretty special as well. So yeah, enjoyed that a lot.
Massive congratulations to that, and some pretty big prizes up for grabs this year in GB4 as well. Think you can help Alicia go and win those? I mean, there could be some really big opportunities up for grabs for her there.
Yeah, definitely. It's really exciting, obviously, to be working with a female driver, and Alicia's done a fantastic job so far. So yeah, definitely looking forward to the season ahead. We've got a good, solid team at Elite this year, so yeah, I think we've got a good shot.
How impressed have you been with her so far? I mean, straight out of Jeanette Juniors, road tyres, she's jumped into this, single-seaters, put it on the front row. I mean, that's huge for any driver. That's hugely impressive, isn't it?
Yeah, very impressed. You know, there's been drivers obviously that have competed in this last year that have come back, and even in pre-season testing, we've been looking pretty good up there. So to put it on the front row in the first qualifying is, yeah, couldn't ask for much more from her, to be honest. So yeah, just looking forward to see what the race brings.
Around a track like this as well, where qualifying is crucial, she's picked a good track to go and put it on the front row.
Yeah, definitely. The transition from qualifying in the Jeanette Juniors that are obviously on the treaded tyres to come into slicked and wings on the slicks, to bring those tyres in at the right time in qualifying to get a good qualifying lap, takes some practice. So yeah, she did a great job.
Thanks very much for speaking to us. We'll let you go and speak to her a bit more. We're going to bring in our reigning champion, Tom Mills. Tom, great to have you with us. It's great to have you with us. I know you were just going and speaking to Brandon McCaughan there, the GB4 Shootout winner. How is it speaking to the drivers before the race? I mean, you were once sat in that pole position. How is it now being on the other side and giving the advice to the drivers?
Yeah, this time last year I lined up in pole position for the first race. Unfortunately, I didn't get the jump off the line, and I finished second. But that was actually the conversation I was having with him. The start here is so important. The dirty air around somewhere like here. Once you get past lap one, it's hard to keep keep attacking the car in front because you start getting the wash, start wearing your front tyres. So just telling him, relax, try and get that best start. If you don't panic. There is opportunities, but yeah, very different to be on the other side. Obviously, I would love to be in a car, but to be stepping into the driver coach role is something I always knew I wanted to do as I grew older. Came a little bit earlier than I would have wanted, but yeah, so far so good. First and third on the grid, so I must be saying something right.
I mean, it must feel great to be part of that journey with the drivers, having gone through testing, and now you're almost part of them being on the front row, you know, filling the front two of the inside rows.
Yeah, I mean, I've done this very exact journey in 2022 when I joined the Formula. I was a Formula 4 driver coming into GB4, and I was making the same mistakes that maybe Brandon was on his first day in the car, coming from Formula 4 as well. And it was just because I've done the 2 years in the category, I know the steps I need to make, and I think that's really worked for all three of our drivers. I've made massive steps over these last few days, and hopefully they can get the job done now.
Well, thank you very much, Tom. I'm going to go and speak to a couple more drivers. Let's go and speak to Finn Harrison first of all, whilst we've got a bit of time. Finn, second row. You must be very, very happy to be starting P4.
Yeah, from where we were last year especially, it's good to be back here again, Oulton Park. Definitely got a shot from being in the second row, so I'm looking forward to it.
Tell us, how's the car feeling out there? How's the track feeling out there as well?
Since it's been round, the track's been feeling very grippy, so yeah, it's all really good. Looking forward to it.
Thanks very much, Finn. We'll leave you to it. We're going to see if we can speak to. I'm going to walk towards you. See if we can speak to a couple more drivers. I don't know how much time we actually have left. I think I'll get told in my ear. We've spoken to Callum Baxter. Next to him, Linus Granfors there as well. Brandon Templeton is next along. We can see him getting ready to go. I don't know if we have a little bit more time left along. Probably not too much. It looks like the drivers are getting pretty much ready to go. Next along then is Leon Wilson. Looks like he's getting in the zone now, ready to go. And then we have Chloe Grant here next. Let's have a little bit more of a walk down. Jack Taylor comes next along. I think we're pretty much about to see the drivers get sent out now. And then after that, we see the drivers of Megan Bruce next. We heard from Maïa Deonarine. Let's come and have a bit more of a closer look from Maïa, so you can have a little closer look up to the drivers. Then after that, Marcus Luzio is in the 11 before we come to Dan Hickey down in the number 17. Drivers getting ready to go now. It looks like they're all about to head out onto the track now. So engines are fired up. So I think at this time we'll probably head back up to commentary with Lewis McGlade and Piers Pryor. GB4 season is about to start, so don't go anywhere. Cars are about to go out on track. So let's get the 2024 season underway.
Series opener then for the GB4 Championship, partnered by the BRDC, takes us to Oulton Park, but our journey around the UK will venture to Silverstone for the second weekend of the season, then Donington Park before we head over to the Snetterton circuit for the Snetterton 300. Run around there, then back to Silverstone for the midway point of the season before we return to Donington Park, and then of course head to Brands Hatch for the season finale of 2024. But the focus of our attention today is Oulton Park, a narrow, tricky circuit that works so well for the GB4 cars. Tiny, they work brilliantly around this very, very narrow, very, very tricky circuit at Oulton Park. Of course, it is the international layout. Plenty of great overtaking opportunities for these cars. Old Hall Corner, that run into Shell Oils, the Britain Chicane, of course, Hislops, that run into Druids, and of course the final turn at Lodge as they head up Deer Leap and complete a lap. It is a tricky one over the 17 turns. I've said about how narrow it is, the brutal elevation all the way around. There's a lot of lumps and bumps in the 2.7 miles with 22 metres of elevation. The Oulton Park International Circuit is definitely one of my favourites. Lewis McGlade and Piers prior in the commentary booth. There has been a long delay, courtesy of a red flag in the previous session of the race. Thank you to Chris McCarthy for an excellent job filling there as best we can. Now it is our turn to natter on until they head out onto the racetrack, which thankfully is immediate.
Here we go, first GB4 race of the season. Very, very much looking forward to this one, Lewis. We've got some new faces, a lot of them, some returning drivers, a couple of them who've done full seasons, and some people who have sampled GB4 machinery. But yeah, I think it's likely that the order is going to be mixed throughout the first few rounds of the season as people find their feet and find their space on the grid. Yeah. Now what they're doing here is the installation lap. So they're driving out of the out of the pit lane, out of the assembly area. They're doing a essentially at their first formation lap. They'll line up on the grid, then they'll do their actual formation lap, and then they'll begin the race. This is actually typically something that we don't normally see. Piers, how important is it to warm up your tyres even starting now? Well, effectively, as much as the race only starts in 2 or 3 minutes' time when the lights go out, the effectiveness and or your race preparation starts from as soon as you leave the assembly area, which Chris was just on just a moment ago. The drivers are taking the shortcut through is it the Forest circuit? Foster's. I was nearly there. Foster's circuit. I really had to think then. I had a pole position around there in sim racing. The Foster's circuit, so we can get round to the grid as quickly as possible. But all of this time is valuable time, especially in these GB4 cars at this early stage in the season, to get as much heat in the tyres and the brakes as possible. It's mainly the tyres that in the GB4 car you need to get the temperature in. The same tyres that we run in the GB3 cars, so they are able to withstand a lot more force than the GB4 cars can produce in terms of downforce and grip. Therefore, it is a lot more tricky to get the tyres into the operating window in terms of the perfect temperature. So you'll see all the drivers, as we're looking at them now, weaving side to side. They'll be on and off the accelerator, on and off the brakes, just basically putting as much energy through those tyres as possible. And it's something that a lot of the drivers will be doing for the first time with slicks and wings, as, for example, McCaughan from the front row of the grid, he's pretty much only raced in Formula Fords, which have a grooved tyre, and every championship that runs on a grooved tyre temperature isn't as critical because the blocks and the cuts in the tyres mean that temperature is much more easily gained. And of course, something which is a bit of a change for the 2024 season is the construction of the tyre is slightly different. It's probably less noticeable in GB4 than it is in GB3. I heard a lot of drivers comment about those tyres back in the previous round. Shout out to Tom Evans Media, by the way. I didn't see that was slapped on the side of McCaughan's car. Bumped into Tom Evans actually a little bit earlier on. He's obviously out taking photographs and such. But yeah, different tyre construction around makes things a little bit different for those drivers coming back, like Harry McGowan Jr. Yeah, Pirelli have just changed ever so slightly the way the tyres are made, and it's affected how they feel to the drivers. It's not a huge amount different in the lap times. GB3 would suggest that they might be a touch slower, but there's also a lot of variation with these cars depending on track conditions, air temperature, wind, and so on. So the drivers will be getting used to that. It shouldn't be too much of a disruptor for those returning drivers, most notably McGlade and Chloe Grant, who are the only two drivers on the grid that have done a full season. Of course, they begin their actual formation lap. We saw them do their little part one out onto the grid, but we'll see them coming around the first corner, and this is where they really need to focus on getting their tyre temperature in. Of course, they'll be heading around the actual full circuit. We'll take a look at the starting grid for the first round of the season. Brandon McCaughan starting from pole position, with Alicia Palowski starting from second place alongside on that front row. Harry McGowan Jr. records his best qualifying in the GB4 Championship on his KMR Sport debut. Finn Harrison in fourth
4th position after doing the season finale last year. Callum Baxter in 5th position with Linus Granfors, of course, brother of Joel Granfors from the previous, from the first season that we commentated on in GB3. Brandon Templeton in 7th position with Liam Wilson in 8th spot. Further down the order, of course, we'll see Chloe Grant on her return, now jumping into the KMR Sport team. Jack Taylor being the 3rd driver that has the Taylor name that's driven in the last 3 years for the Fortec team. Of course, 1 in GB3 and then 2 in GB4, including the series champion. No relation. Megan Bruce starts 11th position with Deonarine starting from 12th spot. One final row on the grid sees Marcus Luzio for the Luzio.com team and Dan Hickey for the Fortec Motorsport squad. Decent 14-car field here in the season opener, and there is one thing about these cars. I will say, by the way, I was talking about the qualifying. It is a much tighter qualifying than I expected. When we were seeing about the testing and how big the gaps were, it is just 2.3 seconds that separates the entire field here.
Which also means that every single driver falls within the 103% lap time rule, which is basically it dictates when the drivers, obviously drivers are eligible for the reverse grid.
Yeah, exactly, and that's obviously dealt with on. I always want to say tomorrow, but it's Monday in the final race on Monday, which is actually very rare. We've not actually really seen that much in GB4, so it shows again the level has actually been built up. Chloe Grant on her return has clearly found a lot of pace in herself, and of course within the KMR Sport team.
Clearly, she's had another year of racing. She was out doing F1 Academy last season, learnt a lot of the circuits around the world with the great teams. She's come back to the championship, and she's clearly moved on, because she was one of those drivers at the start of 2020, hang on, let me think about this, 22, was around that 103% off the pole qualifying time, well within that nowadays, and we're starting to line up on the grid, then those final weaves.
Oh, someone has spun.
Palowski.
No, it's Harrison, it's Finn Harrison.
Okay, sorry.
In the Elite Motorsports car. We'll try and find reverse. I did think I heard a bit of a screech and a squeal. That is literally right outside our comedy box as well, so that's fun.
Yeah, so basically that you can see the drivers weaving and trying to put a bit of a burnout on the tyres to get some final temperature in those rear tyres, and Finn Harrison just lighting it up a little bit too much.
That's embarrassing.
It's not an ideal start to the season, especially considering he'd be on 4th place on the grid. I think it's unlikely he'll be able to take his grid slot unless they send them round for another formation lap. It all depends on whether he's managed to keep the car running, because these cars are very easy to stall. We'll keep you updated when we can see it. No, he's still got the car running, so he's actually going to take his grid slot. We may still have the option
long hold for everyone.
Yeah, may still have another formation lap, but actually I think it looks like we're going to get going. So, as far as we're aware, let's hope his head doesn't go though. You can see him shaking his head in the cockpit. He needs to refocus and get his eyes on the lights, ready for the first race of the season.
Here we go then, green flag at the back of the field. The 5-second ball will be held aloft, and we'll see if Brandon McCaughan can take his first victory. Alicia Palowski on the front row. GB4 is go. Look at that start from Harry McCaughan Jr. There is a staller in the background. I think that's Granfors who's not got going on the starting grid. Obviously the flag's being waved in the background, but it is an excellent start from Palowski, who's got straight around the outside. McCaughan though squeezing out Finn Harrison as he's trying to work their way down into 2nd position. It was almost an Elite 1-2 there, but wow, sorry, it was Harry McCaughan Jr. who's worked his way through in a 2nd. Not a good start from our pole sitter of McCaughan.
No, McCaughan did say that he hasn't had the opportunity to do too many standing starts, and clearly not the most rapid of starts, going from 1st to 4th. Palowski that was got into the lead, and It was Finn Harrison that was getting pushed down aggressively by Harry McCaughan Jr. Harry McCaughan said, no, you are not coming through into this 2nd position, and a very tight bunch for the rest of the field.
Yeah, indeed, that was very impressive indeed. But I will say, so we got the little bit of a look here coming in from Jack Taylor, trying to work his way up the order in that Fortec car. That number 21 at the front of the field, that bright yellow machine, that is Palowski, and Finn Harrison is trying to make this one an Elite Motorsports 1-2. Disappointing start then from McCaughan to drop back into 4th position. Harry McCaughan Jr. looking for his first podium in GB4. His personal best finish is 4th place, and he's done it twice, once in the season finale last year.
Yeah, Harry McCaughan, we know that car is fast. He's been up there in every single practice session, but he's being pushed very, very hard by Finn Harrison at the moment. Finn, well, clearly the elite motorsport cars, and especially at the hands of Finn, have got a good pace at this first stage of the race, and he's looking in the outside now. He's got an overlap. Can he go all the way around the outside of the last corner? I think that McGlade is going to show him the white line, and he does. That's good defensive driving from McGlade there.
Well, the GB3 race a little bit earlier on, as we got a little bit blocked out. We're not going to talk about it. It's fine. The GB3 race a bit earlier on was calm. It was tame. We didn't see any real overtakes, with the exception of what happened under safety car. But this race is very different.
Yes, it's action from the word go, and we've already had a change to the lead, and this battle will continue on. Oh, a big moment, well caught by Finn Harrison. It hasn't seemed to have hurt his exit too much, as he accidentally runs a little wide on the exit of Cascades, and it's not far off the back of them is Baxter, actually. He's drawing in a little closer. I'm going to keep an eye on the sector times of Baxter in 5th place for the Graham Brunton Racing team, while we continue looking at this battle for 2nd, 3rd and 4th. Burgoyne, Harrison and McCaughan in that order.
Yeah, indeed. Obviously, one lap complete. 15 and a half minutes left to go in the race. There's still plenty of time for these drivers to work their way up the order again. Looking down through the order, big lock up there. Oh, and going through. Wow, I've not seen that before. That is Dan Hickey, who's gone for a big lock up going into his laps, and he's now stationary. I wonder if he stalled the car. He has not, so he's able to get back going again. But a big drama there from Dan Hickey.
Yeah, Dan is unfortunately just locked up right under the rear wing. I didn't see who was right in front of him. Let's have a quick look. Oh, I didn't know who it was. He was right under the rear wing of someone and locked up his
Bruce.
Yes, locked up his outside front right-hand tyre. Didn't want to crash into the back of the car in front, so took evasive action. Good driving, to be honest, because you'd rather take yourself out than another driver. Oh, a lock up from McGlade. Let's concentrate on this battle, because that means that Harrison is going to have a good exit. No, actually didn't manage to lose too much time there, although Harrison's got the run now. McGlade is going to have to go defensive into first corner.
Yeah, let's see if it's going to be an Elite Motorsports 1-2, so we'll see what Finn Harrison can do to the outside of the first turn at Oulton, driving it in a little bit too deep there as Harry McGlade Jr. But the up and under comes from that bright yellow machine of Finn Harrison onto the dusty line. They work their way through Cascades, takes an awful lot of curb. There's contact between the two of them, but somehow keeping it on the road, the pair of them remain as they head their way through turn 2. Oh my goodness me! And that is going to be a lot of damage. I think it was more on the underside as they work their way towards Island Bend. McCaughan works his way past Finn Harrison. A little bit naughty potentially from Harry McGlade Jr. squeezing out.
Oh yeah, there's definitely damage to the left hand, so the right hand side of Harrison's car. It looks like either fluid or oil or some sort of smoke dropping out of the back of the car. But basically, that was a very tasty section of racing there. It was a good exit out of turn 1 for Harrison. Got alongside on the right hand side. But Burgoyne only just gave Harrison enough room on the right-hand kink before we dropped down into Cascades. Harrison hit the curb. Let's have a look. Yes, so he hits the curb. That causes the contact. I think that's fair racing there. That's just a racing incident. But then I think at this stage, you could argue that Burgoyne can't expect Harrison to be coming around the outside on the exit of the corner. So I think that's a racing incident in my eyes. But the race directors and the race director will have another look at that, and with all the angles that we are not available to.
Well, I mean, we've got Palowski here, who's our race leader. Obviously, there is a lot of damage to the floor that I think was the plank. Could he not really have backed out in all that, really?
I think potentially Harrison was being slightly optimistic. He only had a slight overlap on the outside, the right-hand side, and was trying to hang his front wheel on the outside of Burgoyne. And that corner, it's off-hill, it's downhill, off-camber. I think it was only ever going to go one way, and Harrison was asking a lot of compliance from Burgoyne. So I think that's one of those occasions where potentially Harrison probably could have backed out and lived on to fight another day. But, first round of the season, Harrison clearly wanted to push on and felt like he had more pace than Burgoyne and saw it as an opportunity. And let's hope that he can continue on in this race without too much lasting damage.
Once again, a fantastic lap time coming in from Palowski. Sets the fastest lap of the race, 1:37.0. That is about a second faster than anyone else on the grid. That is so impressive from Palowski, who leads now by 3.4 seconds over Harry McGlade Jr., over McCaughan, then Harrison and Baxter, which is the fight that we're looking at here for 5th position. This is a little bit further down the order. Marcus Luzio in the rear shot, then Taylor and Granford. Actually, that'll be Megan Bruce. We're looking at Megan Bruce in the ahead of all this, and then the 50 of Taylor, and then Luzio behind. That 16 ahead was the car that I was alluding to earlier, so Granford. So there must have been a mistake from Megan Bruce in the previous lap.
Yes, there's a bit of a change of order than is on the timing screen there. Megan Bruce having a big slide out of the Hislop chicane there and gathering it up. That might hurt her exit up Deer Leap and leave her under pressure. Granfus is looking to fight back after his poor start, but we've got Harrison still slow after that damage, and right behind is Baxter looking for a way left and right, but Harrison now with the hobbled car still managing to defend well.
Yeah, got to say, Callum Baxter might be coming through here because Finn Harrison has come into the pit lane. I don't believe he would have been called in with a black and orange flag, but I think the damage on the car is maybe too much and maybe focusing on preparing for tomorrow. Monday.
I think what's happened with Harrison there is we saw a bit of fluid dropping out or something dropping out. Potentially it might have dislodged a water pipe or damaged the radiator, and Harrison will then on his dash be getting warning alarms for temperature. I think that, you can see how much frustration there is there, and it's bitterly disappointing that such a small incident can end your race. But you know what, that's racing sometimes. Harrison will probably argue that McGlade forced him off. McGlade will argue that I had the corner. It didn't have enough of an overlap to warrant giving him space. But yeah, that's really unfortunate. But still, it's going to be encouraging once the dust settles for Harrison, because he knows that he can be fighting up for podium positions, and I'm sure he'll get more opportunities to do that as the season goes on. But Lewis, another fastest lap, but this time not from Palowski.
No, indeed, it is Harry Burgoyne Jr.'s second position. Obviously the gap is far too large at the moment with 10 minutes left to go in this race. We're almost halfway through. It would be 5 laps complete at the end of this one. I think it'll be around 6 more left to go after this one, making it an 11-lap race, as we'll see Callum Baxter here work his way through. Obviously 4th position now. He's kind of unfazed all that. It's really behind all of this now, where all the fight is happening between Harrison, Templeton, of course Wilson also involved in all that. It's all looking very, very tight.
Yeah, it's close. It's this group here actually, Templeton, Wilson,
I think Harrison must have had. Oh, yeah, because he had a pit lane. Harrison must have had a problem on the previous lap. Yeah, we saw him coming to the pit lane. Fine. My brain works.
Keep up, Lewis. Keep up.
My brain does work sometimes.
This battle here is going to continue on for the rest of the race, I reckon. It's Deonarine and Grant are right there. Chloe will be pushing on, trying to close up to the gap. Only 6/10 between her and Deonarine. So, and we're looking now at Wilson as well. Wilson, the only Arden driver this season as it stands, so he's doing well for effectively a one-car outfit.
Yeah, indeed. Kind of flying. Granford sets the fastest lap of the race, by the way, closing in on Grant. So clearly, I did get told that he is very, very fast. Maybe not quite as fast as his brother yet, but he's exactly getting there. Obviously, Yoel Granford was runner-up in the 2022 championship with the GB4 Championship, partnered by the BRDC in fantastic fashion. That great battle, of course, with
Luke Browning.
Why did I forget that?
Pushed him all the way. It was a very, very close battle, and at points of the season, Granford was undoubtedly the fastest driver. But let's not talk about Yoel. Let's talk about Linus, who we're looking at right now. He's a young driver, striking helmet design.
Love that helmet.
With Fortec, so clearly the family have got a good relation with the Fortec team. They've had success with the older brother. Now they're moving that relationship to Linus, and Linus pushing on in the familiar red and white Fortec colours, and we know he had pace, he had a good qualifying, unfortunately stalled on the grid, but not letting that phase him, fighting back, fastest lap of the race last time out, but it's just been beaten by Brandon McCaughan.
Well, it's actually just been beaten by Palowski, then Burgoyne, then McCaughan, so the three of them are running very, very quickly. There's your race leader, Alicia Palowski, looking to try and take a victory here in the GB4 Championship. It won't be the first female victory that we've had, obviously. Megan Gilks taking a couple of victories, 2 or 3 victories back in 2022.
You can look that up, Lewis. Multiple victories, that's for certain. And Megan Gilks moving on to bigger and it was other things. So yeah, she was good. Oh, and McCaughan pushing hard with a slight lock up into Shell Oils, but to be honest, it's easily done into that corner. It's banked on entry, so the inside front tyre just gets unloaded. And I think that gap between our second and third place drivers, both KMR Sport drivers, is definitely coming down visually. Let's look at the first sector. Yes, McCaughan faster by a 10th. And let's have a look at the second sector, which is coming up any second now. And I think we could have a fight on between teammates here for our final podium spots.
And it will be the second season opener that we've had here in the GB4 Championship, partnered by the BRDC here at Oulton Park, where we've seen the 2 KMR Sport drivers go toe-to-toe, because we saw it last year between Tom Mills and Jeremy Fairbairn. Fairbairn came out on top in that one. As you can see there, the lap-by-lap comparison at the bottom of your screen for the season. You can see that the lap times, it's not separated by very much, but it's still closing in.
It is closing in, and we still have 6.5 or over 6.5 minutes to go, which will allow us probably 4 or 5 more laps, which is plenty of time. 5 more laps to your St. Louis, which will allow us plenty of time to close that gap from a second and a bit. And once you get within about 6-7 tenths, you get a little bit of a gain from the toe up until about 3 tenths behind the car in front, and then you start getting a little bit of front end wash. But by that point, the driver in front is their mirrors are full of your car, so potentially more of a chance of a mistake. And I'm not hoping that anyone makes a mistake, but it would be good to see some close racing at the end of this race.
Yeah, Grand Falls has got past Grant on the previous lap, so the Gra battle on the left-hand side of your screen sees the 16 ahead of the 66. I'm going to correct myself, by the way. 4 laps is what I actually meant, because it should be an 11-lap race. We have completed 7 of them. We are on the 8th. It should be 11 laps of racing, but then again, I do always say never trust a commentator's math, so pick your battles in this one. I do think that Grand Falls might fight Deonarine, by the way, in 7th position. Obviously, there was a move for Grand Falls on the previous lap, and there are more points up for offer. Considering he's still basically on the grid, could be a big one for the Swede.
Yeah, it was actually good driving from everyone behind to avoid Granfors, because stalling on the grid is really not something you want to be in a position with, because you're effectively a sitting duck, and it's a bit panic stations. But luckily, everyone managed to avoid Granfors on the grid, including Marcus Luzio, who we were just looking at, who's applying the pressure to Taylor for 10th place, the final position inside the top 10. Luzio in 11th, and let's talk about Marcus Luzio for a second, because he's effectively a privateer entry. It's him and his dad and a couple of mechanics, and they're doing it themselves, which is great to see, because that's something that is very rare in motorsport these days, especially at the level we're at.
I definitely will come back to the Lucio topic in just a second, because I've got a soft spot for Lucio, but we'll keep our eyes focused on this battle for now. Deonarine trying to fend off Grand Falls. Deonarine in that number 44 Graham Brunton racing car, the red and white one behind, that distinctive Vortex, so recognisable, especially with that very, very bright helmet. If I was racing, my helmet would look like that. I wouldn't go for bright pink.
Well, I did.
Yeah, I know you did. That's why I made a shot at it.
Anyway, moving on to Linus Grand Force, because his helmet is very bright inside that Vortex car. I think it's a matter of a when, not if he's going to make a move on a Deonarine, because that gap is coming down corner by corner, sector by sector, lap by lap.
Indeed, just about where that opportunity is. Again, you were saying about this earlier on, so the closer you get to it, the more dirtier you get. As much as these cars don't have that much downforce, they still kick off a fair amount of dirtier. There's still a bit of wash in there, so it can be a little bit tricky to keep up. 4 minutes left to go in this race. Depending on when Palowski crosses the line, it might be 2 to go. We'll see how close my maths is. It's 1 minute 36.2 was the previous lap.
We'll see if we come over the line. But
I can't maths, mate. I've been up since
isn't this a great start to the season, though, for Palowski? She's
unbelievable.
She's said that she's taken a little while to get used to the single-seaters. She's never raced on slicks before. It's a new championship, new series. She's clearly got some pace. She was very, very fast in Janetta Juniors last year, putting in multiple podiums and I believe some race wins as well. And now she's had the dream start to the season, and also put herself, one step closer, and maybe thinking, maybe that prize at the end of the season for the highest placed or highest scoring female driver in the GB4 Championship for a potential Formula 1 Academy seat is hers, if that's something which she wants to do. And now we were talking about Linus Granfors. He's made his way past Deonarine. Yeah, finally, with the move down into Old Hall, it will be the move up the order for Granfors, now into 7th position, getting past Deonarine. So brilliant effort there. You were saying about Palowski and the driver. Actually, talking, Chris McCarthy was talking to Jonathan Palmer before we went racing about that, and just taking a bit of a tear off there is Deonarine, kind of wobbling over the race circuit, trying to get rid of it. Was basically saying, what if someone like Palowski takes the victory of the championship, gets the €30,000 for an F1 Academy, but also will get the €50,000 as a contribution to the, or £50,000 or whatever it is, to the competition for the next level in your motorsports career, which would total about 75 grand towards an F1 Academy seat. You're basically most of the way there, and if you are struggling with budget, that's incredible. And she has got the pace. Well, clearly, look at this. Not actually having the fastest lap at the moment, but the fastest lap currently being held by Harry McGlade Jr. in second place, a 1:36.133, only 77 hundredths slower is Palowski on the fastest lap. And at that last lap, actually, Palowski was the fastest driver on circuit.
Okay, I should have committed to my 5 laps or whatever it was earlier because we're on the penultimate lap of the race. So it's fine. I will one day figure out how to add 2 numbers together again and then take them away from the bit at the top. It's fine. Palowski leading by 3.3 seconds with 2 laps left to go. Harry McGlade Jr. in second. McCaughan in third position with Callum Baxter in fourth. Templeton in his debut in fifth position with Wilson, Deonarine. Then Granforth and then Deonarine rather. Then Grant. Lucio has worked his way past Taylor on the previous lap of race with Megan Bruce, Dan Hickey and of course Finn Harrison out of the race. That is your order. To touch on Lucio, for one, I'm very fond of that car because I think that livery, it's not really livery, it's just a car colour. I think it looks great.
But I'd argue that sometimes the simplest liveries work so well. I mean, we're looking at the Palowski livery right now and it stands out really well.
It's controversial though, this one, isn't it?
Oh, you know what, I like it. I like a bold colour. I think Elite going to the yellow, instead of going from black and yellow as they were before, now to yellow and black, it really stands them apart from the rest of the grid. And also Lucio's got kind of almost like a matte metallic blue, I would call it.
It's weird. There's like a weird shine underneath it. Whatever it is, I love it.
Yeah,
it's different.
And it's different, but it's also good to see them choosing something different because I touched on it earlier, but they are effectively a Dad and Lad privateer entry, which is amazing to see at this level of motorsport, and I have no doubt that they will move up as the season progresses because Marcus Lucio has a glittering karting career.
Yeah, and of course I've commentated on him sim racing in the Rocket Racing Star Formula 4 Esports Competition UK. Yes, I do still remember the name. Lucio, we saw Theo Mercouris who raced a little bit last season. Marcus Lucio's kind of done that. The whole sim to real world racing, we kind of discussed it ad nauseum. But Lucio is another one who has done a fair amount of both. Does have a lot of speed. We are on the final lap of the race. I don't think he's going to pick up another one on Deonarine, but either way, Palowski leads by 3.2.
I'd like to just point out something for those at home who are watching the stream but haven't got the live timing up. The consistency of our front 3 drivers on the last few laps has been
mad, isn't it?
Mental. I mean, the fastest lap of each of the drivers is in the race order. Palowski a 36.2, Burgoyne a 36.1, and McCaughan a 36.1. All of the last 3 laps from the top 3 drivers, they have lapped within a 10th of their fastest lap, or done their fastest lap every single time. So that's less than a 10th difference, lap to lap to lap. That's half above a blink of an eye over a whole lap of the Oulton Park International Circuit.
This is a hard track.
Yeah, the level of these 3 drivers at the front especially is super high. And actually, talking of level of drivers who are going quickly, Linus Granfuss has actually made his way all the way onto the back of Wilson.
Yeah, exactly. So Wilson's starting to feel the pressure. Leon Wilson will be staring in those in the mirrors. And to be fair, Granfuss will be thinking about what could have been. Templeton's not that far up the road. Definitely a top 5 was on the order. Hey, maybe even a podium for him as Palowski's into the final sector now. Works her way through Druids. Like I said, we've seen Megan Jill take a couple of victories, so it won't be the only female driver that we've seen take a victory in the GB4 Championship. But I will say, I don't think we've ever seen one this dominant. 3.2 seconds clear of Harry Burgoyne Jr. The KMR Sport duo, Burgoyne Jr. and McCaughan, will take second and third. But Palowski starts the season in the best way possible by taking victory in the opening race of the GB4 Championship, partnered by the BRDC in 2024, and wins it by 3.6 seconds. And once again, sets another 36.2 on that final lap. Consistency unreal.
Oh, what a great start to the race. Clearly the top 3 drivers, especially Palowski, feeling good with the GB4 cars. Her last lap was only 300 slower than her best lap. This is great racing. It sets up for a great season between especially these 3. I think potentially Granfuss is a match for them on pace as well. So if he can have a good start tomorrow, he'll be right in the hunt as well. We've got changeable conditions coming, Lewis, according to the weather. Maybe. So potentially, Monday could be an interesting day, but let's not look too far ahead and let's just bask in the first race of the season. A great drive for Palowski. Burgoyne Jr. with a hard-fought second place after coming together a couple of times with Finn Harrison. Finn Harrison will be disappointed, and then third place. McCaughan, who will be probably disappointed with a third place, which I think he will be. You know, coming into the weekend, I think he'd bite your arm off for a third place, but considering he put it on pole position, he'll be disappointed with that. We'll hear from him very, very shortly with the podium interviews from Chris.
Yeah, indeed. Also, Marcus Lucio dropped back a couple of spots there on the last of the race. Don't know what happened, but behind Taylor, behind Megan Bruce as well on that final lap. So a bit of a shame there. Not 100% sure what happened to Lucio, but either way, dropping down the order. So Palowski now after that race, favourite for the championship?
I was going to say, I think if I was going to put my money down, which I'm not a betting man, but I would say Palowski based on the testing time so far, again, much like I think Sharp is going to take the championship of GB3. I may be proven wrong. I've been wrong many, many times before, Lewis. I think Palowski is my favourite for the championship this season, especially considering how dominant that victory was. So, you never know. McGlade Jr. might use the experience he has in these cars to put a challenge and take the win. But, you can't have a better start to the season than with a dominant victory like that, and she was so close to pole position as well.
Yeah, exactly. It was 700th of a second between first and second, so McCaughan only took it by the tiniest of margin, but it will be Palowski in Elite Motorsports starting this new very, very, very yellow era in the GB4 Championship with a victory. That will be very sweet indeed, and definitely remembered fondly, but again, you've got to do it again on Monday.
We've got 2 races to come on Monday, including that reverse grid race, and there she is. Look, you can see what it means to her. She's going to go and celebrate with the team, the Elite Motorsport team doing a great job, giving her the car she needs. And it's good to see the respect between drivers. A nice high five from Harry McGlade Jr. and running over to the team, the Elite Motorsport team, minding the absolutely enormous puddle. And also Sarah Moore, who we caught up with just before the race started as well. A great result, and it's good to see the team spirit there with the GB3 drivers.
Mackenzie Cresswell all down there. No, I like that. It's one thing with Elite, where they've got their guys generally has like the Janetta Juniors, and they have the GB3, GB4. Like they're all very, very close. It seems like a very close knit team, community, etc.
Yeah, it really does. It's good to see everyone getting on and enjoying their racing as much as everyone wants to do well. It's motorsport, yes, of course, is a career for some of these, and I think Alicia Palowski is certainly one to watch in the future. Got a lot of potential because she's, as she's demonstrated, very fast on circuit, but as you'll hear in just a moment's time, she is also very, very capable in front of the camera and good for marketing.
Yeah, indeed. She's quite the talent, and Chris McCarthy will run around and catch interviews with our 3 podium sitters.
Thank you very much, Lewis and Piers. We're getting ready to speak to Alicia Palowski, who has become the first female driver to win in GB4 since Logan Hanna and Megan Gilks. Alicia, let's go over to your car and to that first board. Wow, what a race. Getting off to a fantastic start, and you've gone and got off to the most superb start to your GB4 campaign and your single-seater campaign, winning in the GB4 Championship. Tell us how that feels.
I'm just absolutely over the moon. I'm a bit speechless, to be honest. It's the first race win I've had in a while, so absolutely over the moon. I was really nervous about the start, to be honest, because I've only done 2 practice starts, so I was aware that could be my weakness that could catch me out and obviously make or break your race. So to get the lead off the line, it was then put my head down, be as consistent as I could with my lap times. I was monitoring the gap from behind. I was quite lucky because I think they started battling behind Harry and Finn, my teammate. So I managed to break away and then just kept my head down. My adrenaline's just coming down now, so I'm quite relieved, yeah.
It really didn't come across because after you absolutely nailed that start, you then built a gap really quickly. You seem really comfortable out there in the car, and a lot of pace in it as well.
Yeah, the car's feeling fantastic. Elite Motorsport have done a phenomenal job with the car. The setup's perfect. I'm really, really comfortable. And I'd just like to say a huge thank you to my sponsors, Lamplight Media and the compliance guys, for all their support in getting me on the grid this year. It wouldn't have been possible without them, and yeah, I'm looking forward to going again on Monday.
Let's talk about the moment you've just jumped out of the car there, ran over to the Elite Motorsport team. We can see them all over there. We spoke to Sarah Moore before the race as well, who's working with you this season as well. How good does it feel? I know you would have put in a lot of work with all that team over here, with all the Elite Motorsport team before the season. How good does it feel to have shared that moment with them, getting this win in the bag?
Oh, it's absolutely incredible. I mean, I joined Elite Motorsport this time last year, for the last year for my last season in Janetta Juniors, and they were just absolutely incredible. They've helped me so much. I've progressed as a driver immensely. The environment is just great to work in. Everybody's got my back. You can see how many people are just over there. I can't believe there's like 20 or 30 of them. So incredible to have their support, and I'm so pleased we could get the job done for them.
Yeah, I just want to let's swing round and see. Come with me, Alicia. Come with me. Come. Ah, there we can see Jonathan. I tell you what, we can see Jonathan Palmer is here as well. We'll get the camera back over. We'll do that winning moment in a sec. Jonathan Palmer is here as well. Did you enjoy that one? Alicia did a fantastic job.
Fantastic. Alicia was amazing. She was obviously got the start right. She had some pressure. I mean, KMR are a great team, and but she was absolutely. You were inch perfect. You really had that under control. and the first female ever to win a GB4 race from not a reverse grid. So it's one hell of an achievement, Alicia, and straight out of Ginetta Juniors, your first single-seater race. Formula One. She's going to make Formula One.
I'll tell you what, there's 50 grand up for grabs for the champion. Let's go and see the elite team. They are over here as well. We'll take Alicia with us. And Alicia, the team, of course, are over here as well. I know you had a great moment with them. How good does it feel to have had the Elite Motorsport team all here with you to share this moment?
It's amazing. As I say, I just can't believe how many of them there are. It's just every single person supporting me massively, you know, working non-stop. My mechanic, actually, Ollie, he hurt his ankle yesterday, so he's been on crutches almost. So huge team effort from everybody to get the car ready and sorted. And I honestly just can't find the words to thank them enough. So over the moon and glad that we could get the job done for them.
We enjoy that one, guys. All right, let's go, guys, let's go. All right, okay, we're going to go and find the other podium finishers. Harry McCaughan Jr., P2. Well done, well done, mate. Straight back in, straight on the podium as well. Let's spin round so we can see your car. Straight back in and straight on the podium as well. How does that feel?
I mean, it feels good. Like, we maybe should have been further up, but from obviously the start, we got a little bit messed up with Finlay Harrison. He kind of messed us about, and then we ended up in a fight, and then I managed to get clear of him and then head forward, but we just wasn't fast enough at the end of the day to catch.
We saw you trading fastest laps with Alicia as well. Do you feel that you got some wins in the bag this weekend?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like we've got the pace to win. They're showing in that race they are definitely good.
A good points on the board to start the season. Of course, this is just the first race in a very long season as well. You think this is the start of a good, solid title defence?
Yeah, I mean, points make prizes at the end of the day, so you just need to keep finishing up there, and up there, and at the end of the day you'll officially come away with something. Good title assault, off to a very good start here. Good clean race as well, you must be very happy with it. Yeah, I mean, it was a good race, to be honest. Well done to Harry McCaughan Jr. Let's go and see Brandon McCaughan, our GB4 shootout winner. Let's get Brandon in. Brandon, well done. Winning the GB4 shootout and now straight in and on the podium as well. You must be very happy with that.
Yeah, happy enough. Like third in my first Six and Wings race. Not complaining anyway. Pity I just didn't get a great start and they just didn't work the tyres right on the warm-up lap, which just left me off the pace for the first couple. And unlike Formula Ford, I couldn't really make that up with the dirty air. But look, I'm happy. You know, if it wasn't other than that, I feel like I had a good race. I was consistent, no mistakes. Yeah, for my first time, I'm happy.
And I know at the moment it's only the first 2 rounds you're here, so this is what you need, isn't it? These podiums to get those sponsors in to get you here for the rest of the year.
Well, exactly, this is the thing. 1, it's experience, and 2, yeah, it's a good result. Like, should hopefully help to get some sponsors on board. Gives us something to work with. Not only like next week and the weeks ahead to try and get sponsors, but it's a lot of valuable information for Monday, because they'll be starting in pole again for race 2.
Of course, you won the George Russell pole position award. Some money comes with that as well. Think we can convert that into another podium, maybe a win?
Definitely, yeah. Well, I'm a racing driver, I want to win. I want to be winning race 2, so I'll go back, I'll learn what I did wrong, I'll get the formation a lot better next time, and hopefully we'll be setting in P1 on Monday.
Did a superb job. Well done, Brandon McCaughan. Thank you very much for speaking to us. That is our top 3. As you can see, emotions running very, very high down here after what was a superb first race in GB4. Let's recap it now with Lewis McGlade.
Cheers, Chris. Again, excellent to see all those drivers and have a little chat and kind of see what the dealio was down there. Very, very positive. Let's take a look at highlights from the race. Highlights from the first race of the GB4 Championship, partnered by the BRDC. An excellent start off the second row of the grid, but it was Alicia Palowski leading down into the first corner. Harry McCaughan Jr. stealing his way through into second spot with a bit of a squeeze on Finn Harrison running through that first turn. Finn Harrison would have to drop back into third position. McCaughan having a bit of a struggle on that race start, not quite getting it done from pole position, dropping back to fourth position as it was Elite, KMR Sport, Elite and then KMR Sport. But Finn Harrison was on the attack, trying to fire his way up the order, getting to the outside and nearly stealing his way into second position. A big lock up though from Dan Hickey, who would send his way through the escape road down at Hislop before working back out onto the racetrack. This contact though between Harry McCaughan Jr. And Finn Harrison would leave a bit of damage on Finn Harrison's car, squeezed out a little bit wide, and then it removing the underside, effectively just ripping the floor straight off where the plank is. Palowski though coming through the final corner was absolutely dominant throughout the entire opening race and would take victory in the opening round of the season. Very, very impressive drive from Palowski there to take victory in the first round of the championship by a comfortable 3.6 seconds as well. Harry McCaughan Jr. in second spot, with McCaughan obviously taking third. Baxter and Templeton in fourth and fifth, with Wilson, Granfors, Grant, Deonarine and Taylor. I want to say Zach Taylor then, but definitely not. It's Jack Taylor in 10th position. Of course, a fantastic result from them. The drivers behind, just to give you a little bit of an update on those. It was, of course,
partnered by the BRDC. We'll get the drivers on in.
Bruce, then Marcus Lucio, Dan Hickey, and of course Finn Harrison, a retirement from the race. We'll take them onto the podium. Of course, third position, Brandon McCaughan. We heard about his exploits before this in the GB4 shootout, and a very well-deserved podium. He's even saying that there's a lot more that can be gained, talking about that race start and about how the build-up to it was the big struggle for him. Needs to get his tyres into the temperature window. Of course, there is a driver who definitely knows what he's doing in this car. It is a first podium for Harry McCaughan Jr. in the GB4 Championship, partnered by the BRDC. Alicia Palowski taking a victory, and an unbelievable one as well. 3.6 seconds. It's not just the pace that is the important bit there for Palowski, it is the consistency. Just brutally consistent, basically every single lap, basically in a tenth or two. Jonathan Palmer, obviously Chief Executive of MSV, handing out the trophies. And I said it before in GB3, and I'll say it again in this. Those trophies do look pretty nice indeed. And again, they'll be looked after, of course, and probably kept quite close. Maybe they'll be adding to their collection on Monday. 2 races still to go in the GB4 Championship, partnered by the BRDC, in the opening weekend of the season here on Easter weekend at Oulton Park. Will these three be the 3 drivers on the podium on Monday in that second race? Will they be able to march their way through the order in the reverse grid? It will be a full reverse grid. And again, it will be very tricky. Mark Werrell jumping in for a couple of interviews as well. Also, as we'll head our way into the paddock in just a moment, because Piers Pryor is standing by.
So that concludes our first race of the GB4 season. Here Saturday of the bank holiday weekend. We come back again, not tomorrow, Monday. We're going to have some interesting races, potential for some changeable conditions. But let's run through that what happened in that first race. Of course, we've already seen that we had the top 3, Alicia Palowski, a very popular victory, Harry McCaughan Jr. and Brandon McCaughan making it a second and third for KMR Sport. But let's go further down the grid and here talk about some of the drivers. Callum Baxter, be very happy coming over from Canada for the Graham Brunton Racing Team. Had a strong race actually in third position, not too far off the top 3, so he'll be looking to move on with that. And I think a driver that's probably going to be a bit disappointed with the race clearly is going to be Linus Granfors. Linus started fairly high up the grid, and we saw at the start, unfortunately stalling, just a little bit of a lack of race experience in one of these GB4 cars, but managing to make his way through the grid, showing that he can overtake, and his pace was pretty much a match for the leaders. So if he can get his start sorted, then potentially he'll be up there at the front of the grids by maybe even the end of the weekend. Then next, of course, Brandon Templeton, Fox Motorsport. Brandon's looked pretty good. Fox returning once again with a 2-car lineup. He had a strong result. He'll be pretty happy to start the season, I think, in 6th place. If we can, we're going to grab some word with some of the drivers, but unfortunately, I think a lot of them are caught up in Parc Fermé. So we'll see what we can do on that. And then Leon Wilson, a good result for Leon, being the only Arden car. And what do we go? Oh, Chris McCarthy's managed to make his way up here. Chris, what do you make of that first race of the season? It settled down after the first couple of laps, but we saw some good fights, especially I don't know whether you saw that fight between McGlade Jr. and Harrison.
It was absolutely fantastic. I think a great first race all around. We saw a mixture of really good fights. Drivers fighting very, very hard to get points on the board early on. I think up front, Alicia Palowski doing a really good job to take advantage of things happening around her. She absolutely nailed the start, and then was putting in fastest laps to build a gap really early on. I mean, over nearly 3.5 seconds clear of Harry McGlade Jr., a returning driver, who again, he was putting in fastest laps. I think that could have been a really good fight between those two had they been a little bit closer together. But up and down the field, even we had really good fights going on for about 10th place, I think, which we saw a little bit a sighting of towards the end of the race. So yeah, great fights up and down the order. I think that's what GB4 Championship is all about. Overall, a pretty clean race as well. I think we saw Dan Hickey into the barriers a little bit early in the race. Finn Harrison had his moment, didn't he, when he went off down through Cascades. But otherwise, it was a clean race overall. No sign of the safety car. So yeah, I think well done to the drivers all round.
Good thing to build on, I think. A good race to build on. A lot of the drivers will be, using that and think, right, I've done the first race. It's out of the way. You mentioned before the show that it's a lot of the drivers' first foray into either car racing from karts or if slicks and wings if they've done other championships. So they'll be trying to do is use that confidence from the first race and build on their results. And I think the grid will certainly come together as well. But let's look ahead to Monday now. We've got 2 races coming up, one of which is a reverse grid race, which always throws a spanner in the works. And yeah, some good racing and a chance for some of the drivers potentially to have a go in the way if possible. And why don't we grab a word with our a driver from Fortec Motorsport, Jack Taylor, all the way from Australia. Jack, first time we've spoken this year. How was your first race in the GB4 Championship?
I was a bit delayed on the start, and I went off on turn 1. But after that, I got past once, and then I got a couple overtakes and a little bit of a battle towards the end. Yeah, but yeah, after that, it was just finishing the race.
Does it feel good to get the first race out of the way? I'm sure there's been a lot of hype and tension on the build-up, and it's kind of like, right, done. Let's get into the season proper now.
Yeah, I was a bit nervous at the start, but yeah, it's good to get the first one out of the way and yeah, get into it.
10th place as well, top 10. Must be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, it was all right. I qualified 10th, so being 10th this year, it's all right. Yeah.
And you're here in the UK. It's a long way from home. Do you reckon there's anyone at home watching that you know of?
Yeah, probably my mum, my cousins, and yeah, all my family are together right now, so they'll probably be watching. Yeah.
Should we say hello to them through the camera? Brilliant. Jack, thank you so much for chatting to us. We'll see how you get on Monday. If you hand the mic back to Chris, and we're going to grab a word with Brandon Templeton. Brandon for the Fox Motorsport team. Brandon, coming a bit closer, and let's talk about your race. Talk to us from the start of the race and how it went from there.
Well, obviously it's my first time in my car race, so I didn't have a good start, but my main thing going in was not to stall it, so we did that. We made it to the first corner. I lost a few positions, but managed to get them back, and then later through the race I overtook Liam Wilson, the Arden car, to get back to P5, I believe. So it was a good race, kept my nose clean, kept out of trouble, and we made it to the finish.
Yeah, you're racing for the Fox Motorsport team, of course. Last year, Liam McNeil was very fast for that team. He's moved on to other things. You're kind of stepping in there, and the car must feel pretty good. I was watching qualifying down at Cascades. It looked like you're dancing the car around. It must feel good to drive that car around Oulton Park.
Yeah, it's awesome because I had a year out revising for my GCSE, so I stopped karting, and then it's been a long time waiting, so it's good to be back.
Can see the smile on your face, Brandon. We'll see that smile again on Monday, so thanks very much for chatting to us. And we'll catch you again potentially on Monday. It's great to see some new drivers, and why don't we grab a word with one of our returning drivers, Chloe Grant. Chloe, long time no see in the GB4 Championship. You're back. Oulton Park's tricky. It was first race of the season. You're getting back in the flow of things. Just sum up the race from your perspective.
Yeah, honestly, I think Oulton's my bogey track. I saw that in 2022. So yeah, I mean, my start was okay. I had a bit of wheel spin. I've never really actually had to, this might be surprising, but I've never really actually had to use the brake at a start, which is strange, but I've for some reason always had good level on the track. So yeah, it was a bit of wheel spin, wasn't too bad. I gained position. Was feeling quite confident, was on the rear of the driver in front of me, and they broke much earlier than I expected them to, and it ended up causing me to have to use the slip road, so I could avoid colliding into them, which is obviously the better route to take. So yeah, I kind of got back into the pack and had to fight my way back to where I was. Managed to gain another position, and I think I got P8, I think.
I believe P8, yes, P8 over the line.
I think so, yeah.
Provisional, we'll see, you know, things may change, but
yeah.
P8, solid start to the season. I'm sure you can build on that. KMR Sport, you've moved over, you haven't raced them before. How are you finding and you gelling with the team?
Yeah, no, the team are really good. Obviously, it's only my 3rd day in the car in 2 years, so again, it's been really tough to kind of quickly get to grips with things. I could definitely see the pace was, I mean, I wasn't actually looking at my time, but by looking at the cars in front of me, I think my pace wasn't too bad in the race. I was definitely quicker than a couple of the cars in front, so I just need to work on my start, work on my first lap, and make sure I'm not too close to cars that maybe aren't got their tyres up to temp quite like I have, and yeah, just get that good first lap and then push on from there to get the better result.
And just a quick look ahead to Monday. Beautiful weather today, sun is starting to set, we have blue skies. Monday potentially changeable. You like a bit of Scottish weather though?
I do, yes. I mean, I've never actually raced in the wet before. Again, another surprising thing. I don't know if I've just gotten lucky with weather. Not many.
Lucky?
Not done many days in the wet in F4. I mean, 2 days ago was my first ever day in GB4 in the wet, so that was quite interesting. I know exactly what I'll need to do if it does rain, and at the end of the day, like you said, I am Scottish, so I kind of have to be quick, so hopefully I can be quick in the wet if it does end up raining.
Chloe, thanks very much for chatting to us. So we'll see how you get on Monday, of course, and it'd be great to grab a word if you head out and give the mic to potentially Callum Baxter for a quick chat. Oh no, we're not going to chat to Callum, actually, he's not available. So Chris, it's been a good first race of the season.
Yes, yeah, no, we're going to grab more interviews. Naomi Newman, our reporter, is going to be speaking to the other drivers, so keep your eyes posted on our socials for those ones. But yes, I'm afraid, I mean, we have to wrap now because we've been here for a while and light's not going to last forever, is it? We are going to be back for more action Monday. But yeah, it's been absolutely fantastic, hasn't it? For our first race. Great stories coming off the back of it, great racing as well, and it leaves the door open for lots more good racing on Monday.
Can't wait to go racing again on Monday. It's going to be closer than ever. Looking forward to seeing how the championship unfolds.
And as you mentioned, changeable weather may be expected as well. In the meantime, enjoy your Easter Sunday. Myself, Piers, Lewis, Naomi will be back on Monday. 12:05 is when race 2 is due to kick off. Of course, we're going to have 2 GB4 races, 2 GB3 races as well. We will see you then. Enjoy your Easter Sunday. We'll be back for a full day of racing on Monday. Until then, from all of us here at Oulton Park, it's goodbye.